So hi, welcome to Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with,
I'm Dan Jacobs from the band Atreyu.
and we have some questions to say about their new EP, The Hope of a Spark. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
It's been great. I mean, a band like us that's been around for almost 25 years. It's always exciting for better and for worse. When you release new music, just seeing how old fans are going to react, as well as how people that have never heard of you are going to react. And there's so many variables that play into it all. So it's always really exciting just to see where things are at music in the world at this time. And everything we've put out so far, both in the States and overseas, has gone over really well, and people are singing along really loud already, and it's exciting.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
The EP fucking rocks, man.
It goes hard.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
So is
appreciate
there
it.
any meaning behind the EP title or cover art?
Yeah, so everything we do with Atreyu, there's layers of stuff where you see the surface layer of just looking at it and being like, okay, this is the name, this is that. But if you really dig, we put a lot of thought into everything. The cover in particular, there's kind of this tattoo flash style thing going on. The EP being the hope of a spark. There's elements from each song on the EP depicted in those different logos. God or Devil, for instance, is the hand puppet, whatever, that looks like a rabbit. It's like half shadow, half white. You've got the drowning one, which is like the skeleton hand turning on the faucet. Watch me burn. You got the keyhole, like the eye and the flames and stuff. They all symbolize the different songs. Even around the edge of the border, it's a bunch of little sperms. A lot of people are like, that looks like sperm. Do they know that they did that? And we're like, we definitely know we did that. And, the purpose, the hope of a spark, and it's the beginning of something, the hope that something happens. And what more better way and fun way to depict that than little sperms?
That's awesome.
That's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this EP?
To be honest, it's this EP process is a lot like how it's been for a few years now. At this point, we just kind of have a groove that we got into that really works for us. Typically, somebody in our band or whoever, if we're working with sometimes some co-writers or our producer John Feldman, who we've used for the past few records, as well as our record back in the day, Lead Cells Paper Anchor. Somebody brings in an idea, and we all are in a room. Our whole band works together. There's nobody in our band that does not bring stuff to the table. It's not like there's two guys in our band that write everything and everybody else just kind of plays whatever. We all bring stuff to the table. We all collaborate, and that's a big part of how we get our flavor and our sound. But it typically starts with somebody bringing an idea in. We go around, we'll go around in a circle. We'll be sitting there with acoustic guitars or whatever, and be like, all right, what has everybody got today? And be like, okay, I got this idea, and we'll play it. And we're like, all right, that's cool. Travis, what do you got? He's like, all right, I got this riff. What do you guys think of that? We're like, okay. And then Brandon will be like, okay, I got this chorus idea. And then we vote, which one do we want to work on first? And we'll start with that. But like, everyone's kind of feeling that one right now. Let's jump on that. So being in the studio, everything's set up in a way where everything's plugged in. We have a Kempers that we use, so you can just plug straight in and have guitar tones ready to go, bass tones. You can dial in pretty quickly. So you're not take too long where you start kind of getting out of that zone. Drums are set up. There's vocal mics set up. Everything's ready to go, so that when those ideas start coming out, we're like, all right, this is cool. Let's start with the guitar for that chorus idea you came up with. Track that real quick. So we'll get a click going, find the tempo we want, track that. And we're like, okay, like, what are we kind of thinking for like, a groove for that? We're like, well, the drums, I think maybe something like this. Let's just track that real quick just to have it like demoed out. And then from there, we just start growing. We start working on the lyrics. We start working on other melodies. You just kind of start going through the song and building it out. And it's really exciting and fun just being in a room, with all of us, as well as whoever's producing at the time. And even some of the co-writers that we work with, it's interesting bringing other people in, where it's not that they're writing a song for you, they're writing it with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just an extra mind in the room to give you an extra flavor. It's like, I like to use cooking as a reference. It's just like having another chef in the room that's like, I see you guys are doing this style of food, but what if we added these flavors in here? And you're like, we never thought of adding those spices. That's going to change our recipe. It's going to change things up a little bit, but still be an Atreyu dish,
Yeah. So everything like that you guys work on gets built within the studio. There's no one like comes to the table with a full song. Everything is built out in the studio, all of you guys together.
Yeah. I mean, we purposely come in with the mindset of like, I don't want to bring in a full song. I want everybody else's flavor in there. I don't want it to be 100% like this is Dan's song or this is Brandon's song or something like that. It's got to be a collaboration for it to truly feel like an Atreyu song.
Mhm.
So we purposely get to a certain point in our writing, you know, and I'll just stop and bring that in and then be like, all right, I have this riff and I have this chorus, and I have these melodies and a couple lyrics. Like, what do you guys think of this? And like, this is great. Okay, well, if you guys like this is the concept of why I wrote these lyrics. They, you know, it's based off, you know, whatever was happening to me at this time in my life or whatever's going on at the moment. And from there, everybody kind of just starts jumping in and just starts getting their phones out. We'll share notes on our phone. We'll have like a shared thing where everybody can update the lyrics live and they'll be on everyone's phone live. So we can sit there and bounce ideas off each other. And as soon as you get something, we're like, that's the line right there. Go in there, track that real quick. Like, let's just save it real quick so that we have it all right there. Once you get it pretty mapped out, you can have enough where we don't need to finish the song per se. Like we have all the lyrics, you know, we have the chorus, we have the structure of it and stuff. We can kind of step away from that and move on to the next song. In a lot of cases, you know, in one day we'll knock out 3-4 songs, full fresh songs or whatever that we can, once we decide we've done that enough and we get, you know, say 10, 20, 30, whatever, however many songs that we want to feel that we've written enough, then we can start going through those and come through and finding the ones that we feel are the strongest for whatever we're doing at that moment, whether it be an album, an EP, a single, whatever it is. And from there, you can then we build those songs out. Once we've decided, like, I want to move forward with this song, let's really invest some time into it now and start tracking the guitars and start adding production layers and the oohs and the ahs and all the things that bring the song to life.
Okay. And like when we're talking about this EP, how many songs did it take like before you guys started whittling down to the 4 that are on here?
I mean, we writing until a lot of times the producer is like, you guys need to chill, like just stop writing songs because you have so many. And to be fair, like, you know, not to toot our own horn, but they're all quality songs where it makes it really hard to choose. You know, sometimes you can knock some songs that you're like, I just not feeling this song. It's just, I don't know, the riff's kind of cool, but like the chorus is whatever. Let's just not move forward with this song. But we've gotten pretty good at it. We've been doing it for so long. We have such a talented group of humans in our band. It's so exciting to work with them every time because there's never shortage of material. We never come and we're like, I don't know what we're going to do today. It's always like everybody has 3 ideas. We're like, okay, that's 15 ideas. Where do we even start? We got to pick one, you know. And it's really exciting. And it's you know, for this particular round, I mean, we've written a bunch of stuff, so we have stuff in our back pocket if we want to release more things. You know, I can't touch on that too much, but we have material ready to go if need be.
When the time
Gotcha.
is right, you know?
Yeah. Shit. So,
Exactly.
okay, when you first said, you know, we all come in, it's all like very collaborative. Everybody puts in their own stuff for a song. My first thought was, oh, that's too many chefs in the kitchen. You know, it's gonna take a while. And then you hit me with the, oh yeah, we come out every day with probably like 3 songs. You know, that's crazy. That's like a full 3 full songs just done. So how did you guys work that out? I know you've been together for a while, so it's a well-oiled machine right now, but it's just like, did you guys ever have that kind of stutter? Have you guys ever had a stutter when you're trying to fit everybody's like ideas into a song?
So as far as our writing process and stuff, we've been doing this for years, and we've learned a lot from John Feldman initially as far as how to structure songs. And once you learn, you know, the basic structure of a song, you know, usually it's typically an intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus out. And you can bend those rules a little bit. You know, you don't have to stick to them, but it gives you a good starting point. So you can come in and, you know, it's like, I have a chorus idea. It's like, okay, if you have a good chorus, you can kind of just repeat that chorus and you can mold each chorus. There's usually 3 of them, you know. You can mold each one to feel different each time so that the song grows and doesn't feel repetitive. Same thing with the verses. You can do each verse slightly different than the last. You can kind of really see the structure. I mean, you can always draw it out and be like, all right, we need these 5 parts. Once we get those basic 5 parts, we put those together. There's the basic song. Then from there, we can elaborate on each part and make, you know, maybe the second verse isn't interesting enough. So we're like, well, let's strip that back and use something in the same chords that we're already using, but like, let's make it more of a lead thing, or let's double time it, make it faster, or let's slow it down and clean, make it just take a total left turn that people don't see coming. So, you know, having as well, all like, you're saying like the different cooks in the kitchen and stuff, bringing that, the fact that we all know that and we're all on the same page with that.
Mm-hmm.
We all kind of have the same similar goals and kind of can see too when somebody is really onto something. If somebody's got an incredible idea and you want to let them run with it, you don't want to squash their idea, as well as also being able to stand up and saying like, I don't like that idea. Like I'm not feeling that when you're first presenting that to me, I don't like that. And everybody being okay with, being shut down. Like you have to be okay with like, it's okay to be wrong. Like as long as you're throwing out ideas, you're on the right track. Cause sometimes somebody could sit there and be silent the entire time and do nothing and feel like they're not bringing anything to the table. And then all of a sudden we're stuck on some lyric and they're like, well, what if we did this word? And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. That, what? That's not the word that I would use. And I actually don't like that word, but you made me think of another word, which is the perfect word. Put that in there. Boom, the song's done now. And that person who was quiet the whole time that was doing nothing, by them just saying that one pivotal thing, changed the whole direction of the song.
Mhm.
That one word could be like, oh, that makes me think of this whole other part now that we could add in. That's going to, oh, this is incredible. And you get excited all over again, and it just keeps that momentum going. And it's all about just being present and just bringing anything to the table. It's not even about like, is my idea good or not? It doesn't even matter. Just throw it out, because you never know what that idea is going to stimulate and what that can inspire in other people
That makes
within the
sense.
room.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Damn. Okay. So, what song off this EP took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
They're both one of the same. Drowning was the first song that we wrote. Took
Mm-hmm.
the longest to write. What's actually interesting about it is that so the lyrics, the theme of it, and the vibe and everything, it came from a song actually I brought to the table that I was messing around with my wife Molly. We just went through a whole traumatic thing for the past almost year, dealing with mold, toxic mold syndrome and stuff. And my wife and I both got really sick. My wife got really, really sick, and she was really depressed for a while because of it, because she's a dancer and she had to stop dancing. She had to quit her job. It's like a whole thing. And luckily she's doing a lot better now. But during that whole time, it was a really tough time for her and tough time for myself. And we came up with this song. Like she kind of came up with the idea actually, and I took the idea and I kind of developed it a little bit and was like, this is really cool. I like this idea, and I like the theme of the lyrics and stuff really like hit home with us. And I felt other people could relate. So when we brought that song to the table and we started working on it, by the time we got done with Drowning, which took us all day long, because we were determined to finish it, everything that I brought to the table, aside from the theme of the lyrics, we ended up not even using. We ended up kind of pushing it aside and be like, well, this is cool, but like, what if we did the verse differently? And then it was like, this chorus is really cool, but now it doesn't really match the verse. Maybe we do need, and it got completely altered. My song got spit back out, and I still have it just sitting there. It's a totally different song, but by me bringing this thing in, it inspired, which is now our highest streaming song off the record so far, or the EP, and my personal favorite and a lot of fan favorites so far has been that song. So it's, some songs come real quick, some songs take a while, but it's all about just finishing it at the very least. Like get to the finish line, and then you can determine if it's worth keeping or not.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. And how do you kind of continue? Like, are you still able to feel connected to Drowning? Because the entire song, it's completely flipped. It changed. Are you still able to kind of relate to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the lyrics are still something that we can all relate to, and that was kind of the core root theme of it. Was just dealing with depression, or dealing with just feeling like you're struggling and having a hard time just kind of getting through things. That was kind of the base theme. So it all stemmed off that, and what it turned into is so cool. And I had myself even a big part of just getting to come up with some of these melodies and different things to where you still feel very attached to it. But at the same time, I have this other song just sitting in my back pocket where I'm like, well, maybe we still do something else with this song. It's still a cool song. It's just a totally different vibe than what we did. So might have to come at it again and see if it turns into something special in another way.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So where was your headspace at while you're writing the CP?
For us, it's an interesting time in our career. This is our first set of music that we've entirely written without our old lead singer being involved at all. The last record, he had a part in some of the co-writing of the lyrics and stuff. And we finished the record without him when we parted ways. But this is the first one where it was like, this is all us. This is just us in the now doing this. So there's always something where we feel, I mean, every album we feel like we have something to prove, but this we especially felt like we have something to prove because we want to showcase what the group of us that is Atreyu now is capable of, and kind of taking off all the rules and the restraints that we'd put on ourselves over the years. There's a lot of restrictions being a band like us for so long that we put on ourselves, that fans put on us as far as what they expect out of us, which is tough because it's like at the end of the day, it's us. You know, we're creating this. These are extensions of us musically and our emotions and our personal experiences, and our music evolves because we evolve, we grow. It's just human nature to evolve. Everything evolves, everything grows, everything changes constantly, and that's just how things are. To try to stay the same forever is really uncomfortable. I mean, it's like you being into, you know, I don't know, whatever you like listen to, or being into like Barney or something when you're a kid, like something that was popular, like SpongeBob. But it's like as you get older, you know, you might be able to still appreciate it, but you don't necessarily like this diehard SpongeBob fan for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You know, you're a different person. You've had different life experiences. You can't help but change and evolve, but it's still at the core of it, be yourself. You know, so our music is a big reflection of that. Like we're always evolving, we're always changing. We don't ever want to go backwards, and we've tried to go backwards a little bit sometimes because we start second guessing ourselves, and it doesn't. It feels off, and it doesn't feel as good as it should to us or the fans. So for us, it's like, you know what? It just do your thing. Like we just came to this whole project being like, you know what? Like, I don't care what any fans think. We don't care what anybody expects of us. Like, this is our band. This is what we do because we love it. And if people want to listen, listen. If you don't want to listen, that's totally fine. That's anything. If you like the food I make, eat it. If you don't eat it. That's totally fine. I enjoy it, and that's what matters to me. So we just make music and we enjoy it. And you know, ideally, if people like it too, that's real fun. But we just go into it and just, you know, have at it.
I can respect you guys going in like with that kind of mindset, because the last record was like very much like, it felt like a lot of people were trying to keep you in this box, like when you guys were very clearly evolving and everything. So I can appreciate you guys going in on the next record, next EP, and like just doing whatever the fuck you want to do and not listening to any of the bullshit.
Yeah, that's how it has to be done with anything. Even for you guys doing a podcast, you know what I mean? Like, just do you. Like, as long as you guys are being yourselves on here, people will connect to that and appreciate that and recognize that, you know, as far as some facade or trying to just do what everyone thinks you should do. You know, like, you guys are doing this because it's what you love doing, and there's something behind it that you're passionate about, and that's all that matters. You know, just run with that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And if people want to hear the old shit, it's still on Spotify. They could
It's
just
on Spotify.
Exactly.
And we still play it live too. I mean, it's all there. You know, it doesn't go away. It's just there's just more now.
Exactly.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this EP for the first time? Should they play it in the car with friends, dark with headphones on? Should they work out to it? What do you personally recommend?
I mean, I think if you could put yourself in a moody environment, you know, somewhere where you can kind of disconnect. A lot of times driving is a good way to do it, because when in your car, you can kind of like partially zone out and like just kind of engage in the music while you're driving. You don't really have to think. You can kind of just be in it. If you could be somewhere, you can even be like a moody room or something where it's a little bit dimmer lighting, so your senses are you know, your hearing senses are sharpened and your seeing and other senses are dulled. If you remove some of your senses, it strengthens the others. You know, that's why they have, like, you know, restaurants where they blindfold you or and have you eat, or it's completely dark and you can't see anything, because it changes the experience if you can't see it and you can only taste it, or you can only hear it but you can't see or have anything to look at. Another classic way, I mean, if I want to go back old school, how I personally grew up loving doing anything of this sort, put the album, sit in your room, somewhere where you can have some privacy, put the album on, get the lyrics out, and sit there and read through the lyrics as you're listening to it, so you can digest exactly what you're hearing. It really gives you a deeper understanding of what you're listening to. You can, obviously, everything's open to interpretation, but there's something really fun about sitting there and just reading through the lyrics, and it gives you a better like taste and impression of what you're listening to. It doesn't scratch the surface layer as much. It really digs in. And for me growing up, and that was one of the funnest things about getting a new album, because music was not as accessible. You had to go buy it somewhere. You had to go to a store. You had to go combing through to hopefully the store even had it. And then if you found it, you know, you took it home, the whole process of buying it and driving home and getting home and opening it up and like looking at all the album artwork and putting the
Mm-hmm.
album on and just reading through the lyrics and like experiencing the album on like multiple layers, not just audibly but visually. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole nother experience, and it really helps you kind of attach to the music a little bit more and get the full experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree. So this question should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe the CP for new listeners in 3 words, no more, no less.
3 words. Um, Epic, um, creative, and heartfelt.
Nice.
Aw,
That's good.
that was perfect. So, are you able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments for the creation of this EP, positive or negative?
Um, I don't know. I guess the positive thing, it's just stand-up moments is just, those moments when those little sparks happen, when 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 lightning strikes, like there's these moments that happen, throughout the writing process. So someone throw an idea out where you're like, oh my gosh, that is wow. Like I get the chills thinking about that. Like, oh, we have to do that.
Yeah.
There's moments, even before we go into the studio, a lot of times, because we all of us live kind of all over the place, so we all go and we'll stay at a hotel or somewhere near the studio,
Mm-hmm.
or an Airbnb or something, and you get up in the morning and you're having your cup of coffee, and I might go out back and I'll smoke a little weed and kind of get my zone,
Of course.
and all of a sudden, like an idea will just pop into my head. And it could be something I was stewing on the night before. Maybe, you had, an argument with my wife about something that was, kind of bothering me in my head. And it kind of got me thinking about stuff that other people can relate to, that I relate to, that I feel like I need to exfoliate these feelings and start writing whatever. And there was a lot of moments like that where, we'd be sitting there and have these aha moments where that idea just comes to me and I noodle on guitar real quick, and then I come back in and everyone's sitting there having their coffee. And I'm like, hey guys, let me just stop what you're doing real quick. Like, what do you think of this? And they're like, all right, what do you got? And everybody's we very much operate like that, even through text message or anything. There's no like, time period of when we work or anything. It's just when the spark hits, you just fire it out. So it could be at 3 a.m. It could be at 9 a.m. when everyone's just waking up and hasn't quite, got their head on straight yet. I'm like, guys, I know nobody's awake yet, but what do you think of this chorus idea?
Yeah.
Play stuff and everyone will be like, oh, that's awesome. Wow. Like you just came up with that. That's great. Let's work on that today. It's like, all right, cool. Did a little voice note of it, save it, and off you go.
Yeah.
So my phone's actually filled with a lot of those moments. I mean, riddled with all these recordings. Some of them are terrible. Some are like the beginnings of some of our biggest songs.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love how you guys work, how you guys just kind of like it's just a chain reaction. How if one of you has an idea, it just triggers the other person, and then you guys just have like 50 songs by the end of the day. It's just
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing to see.
It's fun. It's just not restricting yourself, It's being open-minded and not letting your feelings get hurt if your ideas doesn't get used. It's okay. Like you'll have more ideas, you'll have more special moments, and once everybody gets in that, because it's really easy, especially in bands, especially bands that have been around for a while, and why a lot of them don't last and stuff is people butt heads, egos get in the
Yep.
way. People get self-conscious about, whether they're getting enough of their music on the album or whatever it is. And if it's their idea, it has to be the one, and it's
Mm-hmm.
pride, people's pride gets hurt and stuff. But once you set that all aside and we're all on the same team, and if it's all constructive and you're going to have your wins, especially if you keep swinging, you're going to,
Absolutely.
Wayne Gretzky says you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So
Mm-hmm.
if you just keep shooting, you're going to score,
yeah.
eventually. So the whole thing is just keep shooting and don't sweat the ones you miss. It doesn't matter. Just keep swinging. And, that's what we do. And because we have that mentality and because we don't get butt hurt by each other, turning each other down if we don't like an idea, like it keeps things very productive and light, and it makes it a lot more fun. And people aren't storming out of the room mad. We're, having to go in the other room and talk to someone. Hey man, it's okay, dude. I love you, dude. She's so, I know that I went to that, it's, you don't need any of that stuff. It's just, it's toxic and
Mm-hmm.
it gets you nowhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just you guys don't butt heads at all. You guys just kind of say, okay, guess we're not doing that then.
I mean, we'll have moments where people will be really like, passionate about their idea. We're like, I really, really feel this is the idea. Like, I know you guys have sold me on it not being like this, but like, I just really not feeling that idea. Just something about it. Can we just try it this other way? And sometimes everyone will be like, all right, fine, let's try it. Like, the least we can do is try it. And if we all, after we try it, we all don't like it, then we tried it and you got your last word in. It's like, all right, that's fair. So we'll do stuff like that. And sometimes that's those, putting your foot down and being like, guys, I really believe in this idea. Like, you got to hear me out on this one. Sometimes pushing that through is what gets some of these songs to the finish line and makes them become what they are. There's moments on, some of the stuff that we've done where it's like, man, that last part of that chorus, like, it wouldn't have been like that if I didn't put my foot down and say, like, guys, that's too repetitive. Like, we can do something more interesting there. To hear me out, we got to do this. And not just myself, but anybody for that matter. people, as they say, you don't want to die on the hill for certain ideas. It's not worth just fighting to the death about certain things. But if you are passionate about something, and we can see that somebody in the room is really passionate about an idea, like, that means something, So like, we want to hear that out and hear it through at least before we shut it down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I mean, you said it best, and why it's so fascinating to us is just you guys have been doing it so long. The egos and stuff like that break a lot of bands up, and you guys have been able to kind of leave those at the door and have a very chill environment and all work together, which is really cool. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Oh man, these days nothing, just because I got a sensitive stomach. I will tear myself up if I go too heavy on the gas station treats. But if in a hypothetical perfect world situation, I mean, man, if you go to like a Buc-ee's, I don't know if you know what Buc-ee's is.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's only in the South and stuff, so a lot of people don't know. But it's, for people that don't know, it's a giant gas station, the biggest gas stations in the world, really. They'll have like 100, 300 places where you can gas up. I mean, it's unnecessary. It's like a Walmart with gas station things attached to it, and
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's hard to even explain. It's like, it's cooler than a Walmart though. Like, it's interesting. But I mean, I would go there and just start cleaning out one of everything. I mean, they had all these good sandwiches. I'd be grabbing the burritos and all the beef jerky. I'm a dumpster, man. I will just eat everything. I mean, whatever it looks like. Oh man, why would anybody eat that? I'm like, I'm already in line buying 3 of them.
That's fair enough, man.
Yeah, you know those are frog's legs, right? I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Do you want
awesome.
It's out.
Yeah,
this is what they eat, right? Like, this is what we got to do.
Like, I know, because obviously you guys travel on a bus. Like, I know the bus tours, you don't really stop at the rest stops, but do you guys still make a Buc-ee stop? Like, if you're in the South, if time allows?
Yeah. Buc-ee's is, I mean, a lot of times it's in the middle of the night, so it has to be a preordained thing where we're like, guys, we're going to Buc-ee's tonight. It's not too far out. So if anybody wants to go, you got to stay up. Otherwise, you just go to bed, because it's, nobody wants to get up at 3 a.m. to jump into a gas station and grab some beef jerky. It's kind of,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's good, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that good.
Not that good.
But it's fun. It's just a quirky place. It's kind of like a little gas station theme park or something. I know those two things shouldn't go together, but Buc-ee's put it together. So
yeah, if like someone from like merch, not in the United States, like, who did not know about Buc-ee's, if you tried to explain it to them, it'd fucking like break their brain, because it's so strange.
But it's so America. Like, they'd go there and be like, oh, of course there's 350 gas station pumps here. 100 different kinds of beef jerky, and everything's branded Buc-ee's, and there's
with the
Buc-ee
chipmunk
umbrellas. Yeah, the chipmunk thing is on everything. I mean, you could probably Buc-ee's toilet paper. I mean, it's just unnecessarily necessary things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be, and why?
Oh man, we would be. Yeah, that's a tough one. It would be something from a buffet. It'd be like, it's just a little bit of everything. The plate it's got the seafood, it's got the meat dishes, it's got the vegan, the vegetarians, it's got stuff culturally from all over the world. We pull everything from so much, I mean, I literally have a guitars that have sushi in them. I mean, it's like a literal thing. It's actually right behind me. I don't know if you can see it back there. It's back there hiding over there. There's sushi in my guitar over there.
Wow.
There's sushi in the guitar.
In the guitar, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so a lot of that's inspired from going to Japan and just the culture over in Japan and stuff like that. But even bringing that, aesthetically, I wear a hachimake on stage, which is like a Japanese like headband, which I just think looks super 80s and cool. And I don't wear it for any sort of like, I don't know, super deep reason or anything. I mean, I guess it could be like it's, there's some meanings. You going into battle or something, you
Mhm.
put these things on, and kind of going into on stage for me is kind of like going up there to kick some butt. So
Yeah.
I wear this thing, and nobody else wears it, other than like sushi chefs, really.
Hmm.
So it's a very kind of signature thing for me.
Hmm.
But even, you got our bass player Porter, he's from Alabama. His upbringing is totally different than the rest of ours. So his flavors of music and stuff that he brings to the table is really interesting. Um, our other guitar player, Travis, I mean, he's half Hawaiian. We grew up locally, but he's a little bit older than us. So like his influences are a little bit different as far as what was popular when he was a certain age. Um, Same thing with Brandon or even our now drummer Kyle. Like everybody's from different places and has different upbringings and different. Even though we have a lot of music in common, we also have things that we like specifically like that the other people in the band don't like as much as the other people do.
Hmm.
And by mixing those all together, you've got just a buffet of flavors and you know, dishes, if you will. So a buffet, I'd say an all-inclusive Las Vegas buffet is what we would be.
Sounds good.
I fucking love it.
So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Oh man. Death row, it'd probably be some omakase sushi. I would want to have, the a chef come down there and he picks it all for me and it's one piece at a time. It'd be kind of I'd run the gamut. I would have to have that. I'd probably have an In-N-Out burger.
Hmm.
Um, I would just, because I'm about to die, so I would just stuff myself till I'm about to puke. I would
Of
go full
course.
all in. Um, I would have a craft cocktail mixologist there, just making me one of everything, so I could just be full hammy on everything from delicious gin drinks and bourbons and tequilas and mezcals and I'd want one of everything, any kind of the fancier, crazier, more interesting of drink, like I'm interested. Um, what else? I mean, you got to have at least, some pasta in there. I can't eat enough pasta. A couple tacos, traditional and also some gringo tacos. I like me some deep fried, like total American
Oh yeah.
style
Oh yeah.
tacos, as well as some traditional Mexican style tacos.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like maybe some fettuccine Alfredo or something like that with all the fixins.
Nice.
Hell
All
yeah.
right.
You are best answer so far. Fuck yeah. I agree with everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
delicious. Gotta have it all.
Of course.
exactly. I mean, you're about to die, so like, why the fuck not?
That's to die. Like eat it all right before you die. Like who cares? You're not gonna get fat or nothing or like get sick.
Exactly.
It
No
doesn't matter.
repercussions.
And
Exactly.
None.
how are you
You don't even
washing
have
all
to
that
chew.
down? Or did?
Oh, the bar. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Bro,
right.
bro
sorry.
has a
My
full
bad.
functioning
My
bar.
bad.
And I probably, I mean, maybe have some wine in there too. If we get some really old wine, like
Mhm.
maybe even some Madeira wine or something. I don't know if you guys know what Madeira wine is, but it can. If you guys have heard of port wine,
Yeah.
so port wine is from Portugal. It's kind of like a dessert wine.
Mhm.
Madeira is an island. It's kind of off the coast of like Africa slash Portugal, kind of
Mhm.
way out there. Just this rando little island where they do a wine called Madeira wine, which is the way it's like oxidized, the way they treat it and stuff. It's already been exposed to air and everything, so it can't go bad.
Hmm.
So you can age it for it's never bad. So I actually had an experience one time at a restaurant in Orange County called The Ranch, where they have several bottles of Madeira wine there. One of them aging back to 1875, which is
Jesus
10 years
Christ.
after Lincoln was assassinated. I mean, that's like insane. We get to try this stuff. I mean, it's so old. I mean, the people that made it are so long dead and gone.
Mhm.
And even like, it's like their great grandkids are probably the only people around at this point. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Wow. Oh my God. And just how was it? Like what were the notes that you had with that?
Well, it's a little bit sweet and it's got
Mhm.
a little bit of kind of this like when you drink old wine, it almost has this little bit of this funk to it. Like it tastes like a hint pruny sort of. It's got this
Mm.
kind of like old, it tastes old,
Mhm.
but like in a
Tastes
really
old.
good refined way, but it tastes old. But it's smooth and it's sweet. It doesn't taste like it's gone bad or anything like that. It's delicious, but it's an acquired taste. Not everybody likes those styles of wines, like
Mhm.
the Moscatos or the port wines, and some of those more desserty wines are not for everybody. But I love them. To me, it's I love just the interesting flavors and that it is kind of like left of center.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Fictional world.
Hmm.
Man, I'm torn between going way into the future or way into the past.
Yeah.
Um, I probably would go way into the past just because I want to know what's going on with the pyramids. I
Okay.
want to know what's up with that because the pyramids and everything around that, I don't know how much you get. That's a whole, now you could do a whole podcast on that. But like pyramids are the most wild thing ever. Like most people don't do much research or realize what they are, but it's
Hmm.
like the center of like the whole planet, like the way that they're how like perfectly precise they are, the
Hmm.
way that they're cut. Like we don't have technology right now to recreate those. As much as we're like, oh, of course, we buy these big skyscrapers. It's like, no, 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 we cannot recreate that. We don't have the technology right now to
Yeah.
recreate that. It's that nuts. And it was so long ago. We don't even know how long ago they were made.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I'm not even sure. Whenever that is, I'd like to be able to go right to that pinpoint time where they were just finishing that up and
Hmm.
understand what the hell was going on. Because like that is one of the most interesting things on the planet, if not the most interesting thing on the planet.
No, absolutely. That shit's crazy. Do you think aliens had a part in it? Are you one of those people?
I think there's a strong possibility that something of the sort is involved. I
Hmm.
also think too that like the world has recycled itself several times, and we only have so much knowledge of that. Like, there's things that pop up where like that doesn't really make sense with the timeline of technology and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
just certain things just don't add up. Um, so even like underwater cities were like, what's this underwater city that just got discovered? How long
Hmm.
ago was that thing around? Why is it not there anymore? Or even like, have you ever thought about the fact like, okay, major cities, New York, Japan, any of these places, these cities as they grow, they only get bigger and bigger. They don't just like disappear one day and people just abandon a giant city and just leave it abandoned and move on. Like, why would
Yeah.
anybody do that? There's no reason to do that unless something super gnarly happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I mean, all these Mayan cities in South America and stuff, even our pyramids, there's abandoned pyramid like things all over the world. And it's
Hmm.
like they're all on a grid, they're all connected in one way or another. They're all built in the same way using the same technology.
Hmm.
It is like the whole thing is insane. It's absolutely insane. So short story long, I would love to go back into the moment in time when all these
Hmm.
pyramids were being dialed in and understand how around the entire world everything is so precise with the stars and latitude, longitude, all that stuff. It's crazy.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
All
It's
right.
fucking awesome.
So I have thought of asking the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Nice.
You had a specific shade?
Uh, Lighter greens. I like light, bright greens. I mean, I had a neon green guitar for most of my career. And even now, some of my, I mean, you can kind of see in the background, there's a couple
Yeah.
green guitars hiding in there.
Oh,
Mhm.
just a couple, just three.
Just a couple. Whoa, one, two, yeah, yeah, three green ones, and
Yeah.
even other variants.
Hmm.
I love me some green. It's just a color that I connect with for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's an
Fair
awesome
enough.
color. Good pick.
So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Um, yeah, just our band's doing some touring. Come up here if you're overseas in Europe. We're going to be there at the end of this year. We're also doing some shows with Iron Maiden coming up here in Canada. That's going to be super exciting. Also, I have a company on the side. If you guys probably seen it before, it's called Plugins. We make keychain holders that look like little guitar amps. You've probably seen them on Amazon or on the internet and stuff. Little Marshall or Fender ones. Yeah, if you go to pluginskeychains.com or thejackrack.com, or even just go to Amazon, type in guitar keychain holder or something, they'll pop up and they're the coolest man cave, music studio, apartment, home office, whatever thing that you can get for your keys. So
Oh yeah,
treat
Absolutely. That's
yourself.
fucking awesome.
that's really
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you for Sal. It's been Dan Jacobs from Atreyu, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.